Hi. So it's been a long Wisconsin winter, and at the end of it, in the spring, I like to make up my favorite type of fire starters for campfires and the indoor wood stove. I picked this up years ago from someone else on YouTube, I think, but it is the best version I've found. It just works really, really well, and it's very cheap and quick to make. You can do batches of 50, 60 at a time with very little effort. So, what you'll need is, well, I should show you what the final product looks like first. This is what you end up with. You end up with a paper Dixie cup um, or equivalent with wood chips inside that have been soaked in wax. They don't come out when they're done. They light with just a match or a single strike of a lighter, and they burn for a very, very long time. Usually longer than you would need them to. And you can adjust that based on how many wood chips you use, the size of the cup you choose to use, and how much wax you use. These burn for an average of about 8 minutes with a nice, clean, bright frame with very little smoke. So here's what you'll need. You will need lighter fluid, or in this case, I have some leftover tiki torch fuel from an event we had on the property that we didn't use up most of it, so I'm just using the rest. Small paper cups. These are 2 ounce. I bought a pack of 700 from Amazon for, I believe, around $13. This is the final sleeve of them after a couple of years. This came from Walmart. It is cedar wood pet bedding. I believe this was around $3 for the pack, maybe a touch more, but that's enough to make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fire starters. And usually I use Gulf wax, but I've had a hard time sourcing it lately for anything reasonable. The local Walmart used to carry that in the one of the food aisles, but maybe it's a seasonal item. So I'd ordered this off Amazon. It was a reasonable price. It's just soy wax. Any wax will work. Then you will need a pan, or a pot rather, that you don't mind getting a waxy coating on. I bought this from the Dollar General store for $3 or $4. Came with a lid, and it has a nice little horse spout built into it. And this just lives outside as my stainless steel. I'm making fire starters or doing something horrible to a pot device. So I'll pause and we'll get set up here and we'll move on to making these. Okay, so this is the next stage. All I've done here is I took a old baking sheet, and lined it with parchment paper or waxed paper. The parchment paper just happens to fit just so. And the easiest way to fill these with the cedar wood chips, the pet bedding wood chips, is to simply grab a handful or so at a time and just sprinkle them over. Whatever gets lost to the paper after we're done can just be added right back to the bag. I don't tend to tamp these down. The wax is going to consolidate and shrink them down for you. So I tend to fill them to the brim. You really don't need to. Like I said, these will burn for 8 to 10 minutes. So you could go with half the level of fill depending on the size of your bags. If you have any large chunks like this, I put these back in the bag. And I'll fill the rest of these and we'll come back. This is roughly what it looks like when I'm finished. And one of the more satisfying things about this process is that there's no precision required. Like I said, whatever wastage from what slips between or around, we're going to recapture and return to the bag at the end of the process. So next, we need to melt our wax and combine our fuel oil as an accelerant. So what I have here is about 1 pound of those soy wax pellets, and we're just going to, this is an old barbecue grill, lives on the front porch. We're just going to heat these up, and if you want it to go a little faster, you can use a lid. Again, this is a pot that I bought strictly for this purpose. This will never be used for food. And once this is melted, we'll come back and we'll add the accelerant. Generally, what you want to use is about 1 pound of the wax material. Gulf wax I have found to be better than these soy wax pellets, but the soy wax does work fine. So 1 pound of wax with 1 ounce of the accelerant of choice, be it lighter fluid or torch fuel or whatever volatile oil that you have. We do not add the volatiles to this until it's been off of heat and uncovered for a minute, and then we mix it together. You don't want to add very volatile fuel over an open flame. Okay, so about 2 minutes later, and our wax pellets have melted. That is one definite upside from pellets rather than the Gulf wax blocks. They melt very quickly and uniformly. So we're going to turn off the flame. We'll remove the lid. And then we will add our accelerant. And as you heard me mention, the cups that I chose are 2 ounces. I added 1 pound of pellets of wax. So I filled this cup volumetrically to about 1 ounce of my accelerant fluid. The flame is off. The lid is off. I just pour it in there like so. Remove it entirely from heat. And now, as we give it a quick stir, we just begin to pour it on our Firestarters to be. I would say go very lightly until you've made sure that you have enough for all of them. Just a little sizzle worth. It's very satisfying to hear those cedar wood chips sizzling and soaking it up. If you find that you have more left over at the end, you can always hit them a second time. So I'll finish the rest of these up, and then we'll do a little demonstration. And this is what the finished product looks like. What we've done here is take these shreds and scraps of cedar wood and pour wax with a touch of accelerant in it onto each of the cups to impregnate the wood with the wax and accelerant. And we've created little wood wick candles. They burn for a long time, they burn very cleanly, and they actually smell very pleasant when you use cedar wood, though of course you can use any sort of wood scraps that you like as long as they'll absorb the wax. And we have made 8 times 6, we have made 48 in this batch. While those cool, I'll show you a demonstration of what they look like and how they behave when lit. As you can see, it just takes a touch of a flame to get them started. I'm going to place this down in a solo stove here, and we'll watch this for just a moment together. As I said, you can adjust the size of your cup, the amount of wood, and the amount of wax and accelerant mixture to make these burn for about as long or as quickly as you would like, or to keep costs down. But these 2-ounce cups burn for 8 to 10 minutes, very hot, very clean. You can see how little smoke is being released. And if 8 to 10 minutes isn't enough to catch your tinder on fire, or even kindling on fire, to get a fireplace, wood stove, or campfire going, then you probably need better tinder and kindling. These are waterproof, fairly windproof, and store about infinitely as far as I've been able to tell. I've used ones from years back that have been in a pack with no degradation in performance. I do store them in a Ziploc bag if I'm going to carry them. You won't notice any outgassing or anything of that nature. No scent transferring onto other things. But for a 4-night trip, carrying 7 of these doesn't take up very much space at all in your pack, and they light with... You could light these from a ferricium rod. Okay, and I will pause and show you the cleanup. Before we get to the cleanup phase, I just thought I'd start recording again for a moment to show you this is about 4 minutes after lighting. Notice the lack of black smoke. Very little soot coming from these. And it just smells like burning cedar wood, which is very pleasant in my opinion. And to finish up, all I'm going to do to reclaim my waste is simply fold my wax or parchment paper together and dump it back in the bag. And I'll show you a handy little trick for resealing a bag like this temporarily. What you'll need is a length of string or cord, and tie a loop in one end of it. Any loop knot will do. And I'll be back in a moment to... Can't do this one-handed. This is approximately 8 minutes in, and the flame will grow higher as it burns down the sides of the cup. Now let's get on to the cleanup. So at this point, I have recycled all of the unused material back into the pet bedding bag. And going to gather the ends up. This is something you could absolutely use a zip tie or a twist tie for. But all I do is take my loop, whatever loop knot you happen to use, feed the free end through it, keeping the bag closed between your fingers, and then feed the free end back around and through the loop one more time. And this is a part of an automatic trucker's hitch to maintain tension. I believe it's called a black wall hitch. But all you have to do is cinch it down. It's extremely easy to undo, but it won't come undone on its own. And that's how I store it for next time. Anyway, hope this has been helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. Please click like and subscribe if you did, and I will see you next time. Thank you.